Hello, everybody. Welcome again for tuning in at the Banking on Green Future campaign call where our green future awaits. This is going to be an hour call where we're going to be talking about some of the opportunities that are coming out and how you can be a part of our advocacy strategy to ensure that these opportunities aren't left behind to our communities that need them the most. All right, I'm going to go through the agenda really quick. Throughout the presentation, if you have any questions for any of our speakers or about the campaign, feel free to drop them either in the chat or the Q&A. We might be answering them throughout the presentation, but there is a Q&A section at the very end of this presentation. So feel free to save your questions until the end. But if you don't want to forget and you have a pressing question, I encourage you to put them in the chat and we might answer it before the end of the session. So for today, we're going to first start off with introductions of our guest speakers for today. Then we're going to kind of do a campaign rundown, which will consist of an overview of the climate investments and climate funding that has been coming out through a timeline explained from our policy director. And then we're going to switch into the advocacy strategy, which has you as the main component. Afterwards, we'll have the opportunity for you to join this campaign if you already haven't. And then some of the opportunities that we have through this campaign, including a lobbying training. But we're going to start off with introductions. I'll go first. So if we haven't met yet, hi. I'm Tori Soriano, she, her pronouns. I'm the digital organizing manager at dream.org, based in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm also one of the co-leads for this Banking on a Green Future campaign. And so for folks, as you volunteer and participate in this particular campaign, you'll get to see me a lot. So if we haven't already met and you want to do a one-on-one, get to know me, would love for you to arrange that with me. So get to know each other further as we work towards these goals of advocating for climate justice and equitable opportunities for grassroots folks here on the ground, everyday people, you know, us. I think that's it. That's mostly what I am. I will pass it to Kyle.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't unmute, so I appreciate you helping me out with that. Hi, everybody. My name is Kyle Kameen. I am the policy director for Dream.org's Green for All work. I am based in Washington, D.C., and I'm excited to be here with you all today and talk a little bit about the climate financing that is available out there, and why it's important to advocate for it and what the opportunities mean for us all. So thank you, and I look forward to speaking with everybody today.
We're thankful to have you joining us. But before we begin, we're going to do a Menti moment. I don't know if any of you have heard of Mentimeter. It's this fun, cool, interactive game where we get to play with each other. You know, you can usually play against each other, but don't worry, this isn't a competition, but just for fun to kind of get the conversation going in a fun way. So let me switch my screen. I'll switch it to the Mentimeter screen. Let me share here and then actually switch over to here. Bam. All right. So this is Mentimeter. You can go to menti.com either on your phone or your desktop. In some cases, even Zoom automatically asks you to join Menti. So if you see that, that's an option as well. You can also use the QR code to sign in and to participate. And then once you're in menti.com, you're going to enter this code. It's 5404-8009 to participate. And when I go to the next screen, you will see at the top here the code as well. So in case you come in late and you want to participate, you can join in using the code. It'll be right there. But to start the conversation about the opportunities that are available, I wanted to ask this question. How many clean energy jobs have been announced since the IRA, which is the Inflation Reduction Act? Sorry, I had to use an acronym. It gave me a character limit in this question. But the Inflation Reduction Act is where a lot of this climate funding has come from. And through that, a lot of climate jobs have come through. And so I'm asking you to see if you can guess how many jobs have been announced since this. And I think on your phone, it even says between August 2022 to September 2022 to February 2024. So that's about almost 2 years, year and a half, how many jobs have come through. And I've even given you a hint because I gave you a range between 200,000 and 300,000. So we'll see if anyone gets close to that amount, but feel free to submit your guesses. It looks like we have a few folks putting it in the lower 200 range, few in the middle, and then one kind of close to 300, but not really. So kind of got like three dividers. Oh, it looks like we're going in the middle again. Oh, we got someone right at 300,000. All right, has everyone got their guesses in? All right, it looks like if we put the median around, it'll probably lean towards the middle. So we'll see. It is right here. 271,000 jobs have been added or announced since the Inflation Reduction Act, which is pretty cool. That's a lot. And more jobs are coming. And so this is across the country, focused a lot in, communities that didn't even think that they would have clean energy hubs. These are kind of rural, small town areas as well as big cities. And so these opportunities are coming, and I'm going to pass it to Kyle to talk about what that means and what that looks like. So let me get back to my presentation.
Thanks, Tori. Yeah, so I think Tori outlined, really well that the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, is kind of already working. We're already seeing a lot of benefits from it when we think about clean energy investments that have been announced since its passage. And as an organization, we're focused on closing prison doors and opening them the doors of opportunity to the green economy to all. And so thinking about that, we're really excited to see change starting to happen as a result of its passage. But to give you a sense of what we're going to talk about today and where we are in the timeline since the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, I wanted to walk you through this timeline a little bit. So the bill passed in August 2022. It was about $350 billion, estimated to be about $350 billion of investment and tax credits in clean energy. The largest, climate bill in United States history and arguably world history. And depending on how the tax credits are used, how aggressively they're used and adopted by folks, could be up to $1 trillion based on some estimates. So that's, remains to be seen. And we hope that is a problem that presents itself, because that means the bill has been very successful. But thinking specifically about the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, that second spot on the timeline that you see there, that was announced in February of 2023. And this was something that was included in the bill that is not tax credit. It is spending, direct spending, and it is the largest piece of direct spending in the piece of legislation. It is $27 billion. And in that, there are three separate components. And one is called the National Clean Investment Fund, and that is dedicated to the creation of a national green bank, which you see there, April 2024. It was announced that was going to be a part of the funding when it was going out the door. Those three awardees, the folks that are going to get money to start a green bank were announced in April. And we are now in that space in between those dots where the red arrow is. Right now, they're negotiating with the EPA, who is overseeing that money going out the door and making sure that everybody's I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and that taxpayer dollars are going to be handled appropriately. And by September 30th, those contracts will be agreed to, signed, and the money will be committed to those organizations. And then we're really in a phase of project deployment. So investing in communities, using that capital to start the process. You might be thinking, how does that work, and how does a green bank work, and why is this such an important component for project deployment? So next slide, and we can talk about that a bit. So it probably is worth taking a step back and thinking about how do green banks work? Well, green banks typically are capitalized with a one-time investment, in this case from public dollars. And the entire goal is to address, market gaps that exist for green energy projects. So what do I mean when I'm saying market gaps? Well, typically, especially in disadvantaged environmental justice, underserved communities, that's because projects have been deemed, too risky, or that there isn't enough underwriting, or the banks and financial institutions don't know enough about the communities to understand, that they really do want that investment, and there are plenty of people there that want to do the work, or maybe there's a lack of access, or security, things of this nature that traditional big financing institutions either lack the capacity, lack the on the ground footprint, or lack the knowledge to make a proper investment. So green banks are really focused on identifying those places, being the capital underwriter that is the first investment to say this is a viable investment, and oh, by the way, it's going to reduce pollution, create jobs, create clean energy, invest in the community, etc. And because that first investment is made, it brings in private capital. Private investment follows it, and you result in a green energy project. So really, green banks are there to catalyze investments in projects around the country. And so this large investment by the federal government is creating a financial instrument, a financial institution that will be focused on providing that initial seed capital, that initial little bit of funding to get these projects realized in communities across the country. And its real primary focus is going to be on those communities, disadvantaged communities, environmental justice communities, underinvested communities around the country that are in need of this funding the most. And so organizationally, we're tremendously excited about this opportunity, but we're really looking to catalyze grassroots effort on the ground to demonstrate to legislators both the need for and impact of this work, and to ensure that communities are engaged to bringing that funding into their communities. And so that's what Tori and the team is going to talk to you a little bit about today. And I hope I have been helpful in outlining a bit on the timeline and policy and how we got here.
Muted. There we go. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate your expertise as always. If anyone has any further questions about the funding investments from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, GGRF, because that is a mouthful, or the National Green Bank and our part in it, or green banks in general, feel free to segue all of your questions to him. That's his bread and butter. But as Kyle hinted, we're going to be talking about on how all of this relates to you and the work that we on the grassroots are going to try to achieve through advocacy. And so all of this can be kind of justified with this one statement, is that our vision is for disadvantaged communities to be able to access the financing they need and deserve to deploy green technologies. This will be brought up through these 4 engagement strategies, which I'll share in a moment. But all of this is to ensure that no one is left behind in the green transition. We don't want that folks can only have access to these opportunities if they can afford it. or if it seems marketable, if it's going to make them money. And so we want these opportunities to be available, to be known, and to be desired, because if public support outweighs legislative opposition, our government officials, our local leaders, our policymakers are going to notice. And so with that, to kind of bring you up to speed on our advocacy campaign, I'm going to show you this video. Well, let me pause it for a moment. This video that talks about this campaign. And so let me unspotlight myself so you guys can tune in. It is me. Sorry, I'm still talking in this video, but please enjoy the video.
With your help, we've achieved a landmark win with the potential to tip the scales for a livable future: the creation of a national green bank. This isn't a normal bank. This bank is designed to specifically combat climate change and offer affordable loans for clean energy projects. And more than half of these funds will benefit those hardest hit by poverty and pollution. But here's the bad news. The oil and gas industry and their congressional allies are already trying to undermine the progress we've made. We can't afford to lose money for our communities to those bad actors profiting from pollution. But we have a secret weapon to stand up for this historic win and turn some of the skeptics into enthusiasts. You. Dream.org is assembling a team of climate activists eager to speak up and defend their communities and our planet. We'll provide the tools, the support, and the training to advocate, educate, and protect your community's hard-fought right to these opportunities with other local leaders. We're banking on a green future. Are you in? Sign up to be involved today.
Did that ever get everyone inspired to join? No worries, I'm gonna go into more detail. So the video gives like a broad outline, but this is our strategy and your role in our advocacy plan. It goes through these 4 different engagement strategies, which are knowledge building, market transformation, project identification, and workforce development. And I'm going to go through each of these individually. So we'll start with knowledge building. So with knowledge building, the idea is that we want to build awareness and understanding across sectors. And what it looks like in practice is offering training, talking points, resource guides on how to communicate the benefits of a national green bank and the opportunities that come with that. If we're successful in advocating for these opportunities, what that would look like is we see a state green bank in every single state. And then we see this funding segue to those green banks to create more low-cost, affordable opportunities for our disadvantaged communities. And so in order for that goal to be achieved, we would provide you the talking points, the pitches that you can give to advocate for this to your community and talk about these things, not just with your elected officials, but also your church leaders, your church members. You could talk about this at a community meeting or with your relatives. And so we'll give you the tools to how to communicate that no matter where you live, because we'll be honest, not everybody is a fan of clean energy, and these opportunities might be missed in communities that already have a stigma against clean energy in those opportunities. And so there will be different talking points crafted depending on where you're at. They may be more tailored towards a rural, conservative neighborhood versus a more progressive, liberal city. And so you'll have different opportunities to have different talking points, no matter where you're at, to have these conversations, in real life, to start hosting events, to get the conversation going, to get other people involved in rooting for clean energy, to be part of the investments that are coming out. But training or knowledge building doesn't always have to be just face-to-face meetings or conversations with your local leaders. It could also be something that you could do through digital social media. And so we'll provide you those opportunities to amplify your voice online as well. And this could be as easy as sharing a petition or sharing your community story or other stories of success. And you might not know this, but even if you just share out a post, you can amplify your voice exponentially. It can be, all over the web. And so that's another easy way to expand the knowledge and awareness of these opportunities. Um, Next is market transformation. So this is building demand for a green infrastructure at different levels. We're focusing on the federal, the state, and even local levels. The talking points provided will help you have these conversations with your policymakers, your legislators, to get them excited about a green bank, to think about setting one up or approving one through their Senate committee or something like that. And so we'll provide you these toolkits on how to have these conversations and how to set up a meeting with your legislator. All of this related to our lobbying training that's I'm going to be inviting to you later. Spoiler alert. But like I said, this isn't just about having these meetings with your legislators. This could also be talking with your church leaders because these investments, this money isn't just for government officials or tribal leaders. It could also be utilized by organizations or nonprofits, entrepreneurs, even some for the individual level. And so there's already been stories of churches taking advantage of these funds to put solar panels on the roof of their cathedrals. And so these funds are available for the public in different branches of the money. And so we want those opportunities to be aware and so that they can utilize it themselves and through their businesses, through their companies, through their organizations. And when those funds are being realized, that's when we'll see the market transform into a green economy. So once we start to see the transition into a green economy, the next step of this is project identification. And so part of all the greenhouse gas reduction fund, a lot of these funds, when they specify that they need to go to disadvantaged communities, it also encourages and in a way requires that communities be involved in these project development steps and almost every step in the way. And so we are going to ensure that and require that happens. And so as these funds get deployed and these organizations are getting these monies, we are going to facilitate and help promote these community engagement opportunities so that you get to advocate and actually say what you want in your community. I mean, how many times have we seen that our neighborhoods get affected with change that we didn't agree to? I mean, that's kind of what the oil and gas industry has been doing all along. And so we don't want that same thing to happen and that stigma to happen to clean energy. And so we want there an opportunity for community input. We want public comments to be allowed and community members can talk about the projects that they see fit or needed in their communities. And only when that happens, we can see a full transformation of a city become a community built on clean, breathable air and green opportunities. And so once we have the projects, they're getting the community input, we are facilitating that. The last step of this advocacy plan is workforce development. So once the job, or once the clean energy is out, once the projects are in development, they got to hire people. And so this advocacy campaign is going to kind of switch more towards a workforce development plan, and where we will facilitate and provide tools and opportunities to be trained and help with job location and job creation for these opportunities, so that we can actually see local based recruitment. We can see the community members on the ground actually affect their own community in a positive way with, solar panel, community solar development and installation, or wind turbine construction building. Like, we want these opportunities to benefit the communities that they're going to be in. And so therefore we want to make sure that when the jobs are there, that we have people ready, and they're focused on the disadvantaged communities that need these opportunities the most. And so you're probably thinking, Tori, this is a lot. This is a lot going on. This is a huge step into this big direction of a green future. I don't know if I can do all this. Well, don't worry. I am not asking you to do everything. Even I can't do everything. And I especially, I can't do this work alone. For one, your legislators don't care what I have to say. They want to hear from the constituents. They want to hear from you. Your community members want to hear from you. And so it's important that if you want to participate in this campaign, that you play to your strengths or what interests you. And so if social media advocacy is up your realm, if you're always online, you can join in the trainings for that. If you are very much interested in learning to have these talks with your legislator so that you can influence policy and see green banks appear in your city, your state, you can join in on those trainings. If you're interested in hosting community events and getting the word out about the benefits of clean energy to your local church, you can learn from the resources and tools that are available there. If you're only interested in getting a green job, you can work towards all of these and then join in on the workforce development piece. So anything that interests you, you can join in all the way or commit to a small piece. But in the end, dream.org can't do this work alone. And so we need your help to be the leaders in your own community and advocate for this. And so you could be the key to bringing clean energy to your local community. And all we could do is provide the steps and training to show you how. Interested in this campaign, if you haven't already, Kiana's going to drop the link in how you can sign up. We're going to be sending out the invites probably later this week for, looks like my internet's unstable. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Yeah, we're going to be sending out committee invites later this week so that we can start figuring out roles and how people want to participate and start launching this campaign. It's a pretty ambitious one, but we're hoping with your help that we can see some real change within our communities. And so please feel free to use the link if you haven't already signed up, and would love to work with you on this goal. And then part of this campaign is lobbying training. This particular lobbying training is not exclusive about clean energy development or climate justice. This is an overall lobbying training that you're welcome to join to learn how to influence policymakers. I think this is a skill that everyone deserves to learn, and to add another tool to their tool belt and their advocacy tools. And so I invite you to join our lobbying training on July 8th. I will provide some resources to help you lobby with your policymakers, your local leaders on this particular campaign in this training as well. And so if this is the avenue that you want to participate in this campaign, I highly recommend you attend this training. It's going to be hosted by our many great staff who have pretty much, lobbying is their life, and so they have great advice to give. But if you have already lobbied and you would love to share your experience, I invite you to attend anyway, because sometimes it's a little intimidating to have these conversations with your local leaders, and you might be scared, you might be reserved, you might think, oh, they don't care what I have to say. But we'd love to hear from folks like you if you have lobbied, your experience, kind of to help get rid of those stigmas or those fears that other people might be having, to learn, your experience, your tips, or anything that you might be able to offer for folks when they go to lobby. And then afterwards, I will provide you a toolkit to help you lobby for the campaign following. And so this is happening July 8th, Monday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to have Kiana drop the link to that if you're interested in participating. For this particular training, if you cannot attend, feel free to RSVP anyway. We'll send the lobbying training to you so that you could still learn from it and add it to your tool belt. All right, so we have one last Menti moment before we switch to Q&A. Let me switch to the other screen. All right, so for this question, I want to know, how informed is your community on the funding opportunities through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund? Once again, I had to use an acronym because it wouldn't let me put anything more, but it's Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, GGRF. And so I'm just curious if they don't know a thing. If you're not sure, that is an option. Put that down, because in all honesty, if you are not sure, that probably means that your community is not sure. And so that's a valid response to give us kind of an input of like the work that we need to do. And then if you've heard, programs like Solar for All, or these different greenhouse gas reduction fund terms, Green Bank, if you've heard any of those floating around in your area, then they might have already applied for GGRF funds. But yeah, I would just love to get a community's perspective on how available these opportunities are in your community, at least from your perspective. And for those of you who are joining late, if you want to jump into the Menti, at the top here, it says go to menti.com, and then you type in the code that's right here, and then you can participate. It's like we have somebody who's already applied for GGRFs. That's pretty good. All right. Well, thank you folks for participating. Oh, we got someone. Hey, look, we have answers all across the board. It's kind of good and kind of bad, It just means that we have different focuses in different areas. And so for communities that maybe already have a green bank and maybe are already taking advantage of these opportunities, we just want to get more awareness and make sure that those funds are making it to the communities that need it the most. And then for areas that they don't know a thing, our work is going to be really much advocacy and awareness of these opportunities to the folks, and communicating it in ways that they can understand and get behind. All right, I'll jump back to the presentation. Actually, I don't really need to, it's just questions. So I can stop sharing right now. Remove spotlight, and then if anybody has any questions, So it looks like we have this question. Let me spotlight myself. Okay. Can you please share more details about how support and resources will be provided to help us advocate in our communities, i.e. technical support materials? Yeah, definitely. So this looks like in different components. And so we're gonna have I might just blank out the word toolkits. So we're going to create toolkits that will have different components in it. It will have, a script on what you want to say to your elected officials, depending on how they are opened to clean energy opportunities, wary, or maybe skeptical. And so we'll have different talking points depending on whom you're talking to. Then we'll have examples. And so a lot of the times the stigmas around clean energy revolve around, it's a waste of money, it's not going to create jobs. And so we will provide specific examples that will hopefully help you sell the case of clean energy to your elected officials or your local leaders, give you examples of how those opportunities have already been taken advantage of. That chart about 271,000 jobs that have been created will provide you those details on where those jobs are coming from and where they're going, because a lot of them are in rural Georgia. Who knew? And so those examples are great ways to show, somebody in rural Alabama that, hey, rural Georgia is taking advantage of this. Why aren't we? Look at how many jobs they've been created. And so we'll provide those examples and one-pagers that you can help distribute out to your community leaders and to your elected leaders. And then the last piece will be, for this particular toolkit, will be catered language depending on where you're at, who you're speaking to, Republicans versus Democrats, conservative versus liberal, rural versus cities. And so we'll try to have abundance of talking points for you so that you can have those different avenues depending on where you're at, because we're doing this across the country. This is a federal campaign. And so we're going to try to provide as many talking points as we can. And then you can pick whichever best works for you and your community. In terms of materials, so there'll be one-pagers, there'll be lots of educational opportunities where we'll either teach you more about this, train you on how to talk about it, or to give you these, these toolkits, these resources to help advocate for those in your community. So those are going to be part of the committee. And then technical support, you'll have myself, you'll have Kiana, who's in the back, she's supporting me today. She'll be working on this campaign, and a lot of other people, Yuri, Kyle, a lot of these folks in our team who will be help supporting you in this task. And this could be from one-on-ones, personalized coaching, any needs that you have, even just like a friend, just to help you talk through this, practice speaking to us so you can speak to your community, share your wins with us. And then of course you'll have the committee as well, who will also be participating this with you. And so we're hoping that there will be a support network built. And then in terms of technical supports, we will provide you with all the tools, whether they be digital tools. We have an event builder platform where you can host an event online and invite folks there that you'll have access to petitions, that we can help curate all these different technical opportunities, and physical pieces as well as digital pieces will be made available to you through this campaign. I don't know if that answered your question, or if you you want more from me. All right, I'm gonna take that as a yes. But does anyone else have any questions? Oh, yes. Kyle also mentioned there'll be skill building opportunities. The lobbying training is a great example. There's going to be a social media advocacy training, organizing training, and so um, we'll try to set you up for success for this. Yeah, definitely. I guess that's another piece that I can add as well, that if you're with other orgs, especially on the local level, but on the federal level too, that would love to participate in this campaign, please let me know because we're launching it today. And so if we can we spread our wings even farther by getting people involved, I think that would be, yeah, exactly. The more the merrier, the stronger our forces are. And because we need public support to outweigh legislative opposition. So the more we can get, the better. All right, I'm looking. I think that's all the questions I see. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to come off mute yourself. If you feel free, if you don't want to type your question in the chat. All right. Hearing none, I will adjourn this meeting. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming in today, hearing about our advocacy plan, and hoping that you participate. There's a great quote from one of our staff, Kashif Wizard, that says, "Solutions need to be the voice of the voiceless." And so we want you to be the community voice so that others who aren't on this call can still benefit and participate. And so thank you guys for participating, joining. I will send an email with all of these opportunities, all the links that were shared out today. So feel free to keep an eye out for that. If you're like, oh no, I forgot to sign up, I got to look in the chat and figure out which link it is. No worries, I'll send those out. This recording will also be sent out. So if anybody you know missed out on this conversation, might want to be a part of it, feel free to forward this recording to them. And then, of course, if you have any questions about the campaign or some of these investments that are coming out, you want to, create a coalition of climate orgs who might be down for this to participate, feel free to contact me or Kyle. I'll put my email here in the chat. But of course, you can always contact me through the event sign up page where I will send out all these opportunities. But looking forward to keeping these conversations alive and building this out further. But thank you everybody for participating and being part of the conversation. Ooh, thank you. Yeah, and we will make sure. So it says that is it Tenny? Is that how you say it? Tenny? Yeah. Hi, it says thank you. I'm just reading this out for folks who who'll be watching the recording. I think I will try and engage directly with Senator Paul on his website. I will start by asking him how Northern Kentucky is taking advantage of these opportunities. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. And of course, as you're thinking about who you're going to contact and your legislators that you're thinking about, please, share those opportunities, share how it went. If you get a response, we want to know because other committee members are going to be doing the exact same thing. And I think we learn best when we work together. Perfect. We're getting some community orgs involved. Yes, please, please. Thank you so much, everybody. And have a good evening. Have a good day. Thank you.